One. All right, folks, this is the Be the Bright podcast presented by Ridge Supply. My name is Matt Hawkins. I'm the owner of Ridge Supply. Over here is Jordan Spoon, who is the man behind our Ridge Supply Arsenal Instagram account. And our special guest today is none other than YouTube legend Dylan Johnson. He's also really good at riding bikes as well. But Dylan, thanks for being here today. And Jordan, thanks for it's early. We're up at the crack of dawn, and we're recording this live on Zoom with our YouTube video cast and our podcast as well. So welcome, Dylan.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Dylan, we met. Did we meet the first time at the Buck 50, like in face to face?
Yeah, the first Buck 50. I think that's when we met.
And but before that, I feel like we connected when you were like in college, right? When you were still at Brevard.
Yeah, when I think my last year at Brevard College, I was on the Giant team, and I think that was around the time that we first connected. And
you were doing NUE back then too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how many? For people that don't know what NUE is, tell people what that is, and you've got a couple championships under your belt as well.
Yeah, the NUE is the National Ultra Endurance Series, and it was originally just 100-mile mountain bike racing, but they've also added 100K series to that. So it's 100-mile mountain bike races all across the U.S. I think it's probably an 11 or 12 race series at this point. You don't need to go to all 11 or 12 races. It's just your top 4 that count towards the series. And I've been doing that. I mean, I did my first NUE race when I was 15 years old, the Shenandoah 100. So I wasn't going after the series when I was 15 years old, but I've been doing 100-mile mountain bike racing for a while. And over the past, I would say, 5 years, the NUE series has been one of my main goals.
Yeah, and from my view, which I know some of the guys pretty well that you've been competing against over those years, and like the top, say 5 or 10 people in the series are all pretty hardcore. And you kind of never know, right? Like from race to race, some courses suit different people's styles and whatnot. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
but you've actually kind of dominated a couple years. And have you ever won 4 in a row, or like all 4 that counted?
Yeah, I had 2. So I've won the NUE series 3 times, and 2 of those 3 times I won 4 NUE races in the year. I think the other time I got my best 4 was 3 first place and 1 second.
Yeah.
That's impressive. What pulled you into that kind of ultra endurance type stuff? Because 100 miles on a mountain bike is a completely different ball game than going out and doing 100 on a road. And so it's just kind of interesting. What pulled you that way?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because it's not really a route that a lot of junior U23, young cyclists take. I would say not that it's almost something that more of like, for example, like with Jeremiah Bishop, he had his XC racing career, and he kind of went all in ultra endurance towards the latter part of his career. I think it was just something, I did plenty of XC racing growing up, and I found that the longer that the race was, the better I did.
Yeah.
That tended to be the trend. And from a young age, I was doing long rides and long races. I mean, I did Shenandoah 100 when I was 15. I think when I was 14, I did a 9-hour race. So I don't know. I found that the longer races suited me well, and I also enjoy riding my bike for a long time. So I think it worked.
Yeah. So you've recently, I say recently, but a few years ago, you kind of got into coaching. Mm-hmm. What was that transition like, where you're basically riding and racing full time, but you're coaching as well? How did How did that get started?
Yeah, so when I was at Brevard College, I was an exercise science major, kind of looking to go into something related to that field anyway. And then there's a Carmichael Training Systems here in Brevard that I interned at, and then I got a job there. Um, and yeah, that's how I started coaching. When I started the YouTube channel, I think part of the benefit of working for a company like CTS is that they're going to bring you clients. You don't have to advertise yourself. But if you don't have a problem advertising yourself and you don't have a problem getting clients, then it kind of makes it not worth it anymore when they're taking a cut for very little benefit. So shortly after that, or not shortly, I mean, almost a full year after I started the YouTube channel, I went off on my own and started my own coaching company.
So, and we'll get into this a little bit more because I want to dedicate like a whole section to just geeking out on YouTube a little bit. But for people who don't know, I think Brevard is like the cycling capital of the country, and people sleep on it that have never been there. But would you agree? Like, I mean, when I was there, the most recent time, I was shocked that like every business, no matter what it was, had a car or 2 or 5 or 10 in the parking lot with a bike rack and bikes on it. Mm-hmm. Is it always like that, or was I just there on a weird weekend when everybody was riding?
It's always like that. I mean, especially in the summer. In the winter, it dies down. It's kind of it's a heavy tourist area.
Yeah.
But I don't know, cycling capital of the country is strong because there are a lot of great places to ride. Cycling capital of the South, I would agree with that. Cycling capital of the East Coast is probably up there.
Well, and I'm not sort of bragging about it because I have no connection to it. I just was shocked when I went there and rode, because obviously like road riding's ridiculous. You got the Parkway, you've got Pisgah, you've got DuPont, and you just have, and then you've got all the gravel stuff I don't even know about. It seems like when you get to go ride, you got no problem stringing together 5+ hour, stuff. This is a hard question, I'm sure, but what's your favorite? I know you've covered the area racing and training. Like, what's your favorite area to ride? Because we asked this question the other day, like if you just go on one ride on one bike, where would you go? Yeah. Like,
see, that's a different question from what's my favorite, because my favorite is like probably, riding Farlow or riding all of Black or something, but that is not something that I would do every day of the week.
Yeah.
Like, if you're asking me what would I do every day of the week, it'd probably be something a little bit more mellow, so I don't,
Yeah. When I've only been over there a couple times, but when I rode stuff like Black, that's not my thing. I mean, I can do it, but I'm doing it like, barely hanging on.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's been a few years since I've been over there, and it's some of the best riding I think you can find. But yeah, some of that stuff gets a little crazy.
Well, I grew up in the DC area, and, it's pretty, they have good trails, but it's fairly mellow. And
yeah,
I always rode an XC bike, no dropper, usually hardtail. And I didn't understand why people rode bikes with more travel,
right,
and proper posts and heavy tires. And then I got to Pisgah and I was like, oh, this makes sense.
Do you even have a hardtail anymore?
I don't have a hardtail.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
That's a smart man. Do you like going to DuPont? I mean, I loved DuPont, like when because I know it's not technical, but it just seems like a fun day to ride. Like you can just kind of.
Yeah, there actually is some technical stuff in DuPont if you know where to look for it. So I almost never drive to go ride. I almost always ride from my house, and Pisgah is about 10 minutes to ride to,
right.
And DuPont's about 40 minutes to ride to. So, I think that I probably would ride DuPont more if it was closer. I probably end up riding DuPont, you know, if I'm going for a mountain bike ride, it's probably every fifth ride,
Yeah.
you know.
Cool. Well, tell us a little bit about the training, and the coaching and how that works. You know, I think there's so many folks that are looking for somebody to help, and they don't really know where to stand. And, you know, with your YouTube channel, I know like you've been making those of us who are laymen's in the game, you know, think about stuff a little bit more. Is that the kind of client you're dealing with normally, or?
Yeah, I mean the clients range. I mean, there's a huge range. There's you know, I have clients who just started riding like a year ago, and you know, I mean, they're total beginners. And then I have a woman who races in the World Cups. So
Yeah.
you know, people ask me like, what, you know, what kind of clients do you coach? Like, am I fast enough to be coached? It's a huge range. There's no one typical client. So, but yeah, I mean, you know, I think that at least when I worked at CTS, I would say that there's a lot of like age groupers, you know, like masters racers. I would say when I worked at CTS, that was probably, you know, like 90% of my clients.
Yeah. I mean, those are the people that have resources and time, and they're like, they want to be serious about it, but they know they're not going to be world tour anytime soon, and, you know, et cetera. Right. So I think that's understandable. You know, we're going to get into in the future, we're going to talk about the old Zwift workouts as well, because we want to, we definitely want to go there. But Dylan, thanks for being with us here. This is the end of our first episode. We're going to be back here with Dylan in a bit. I can't remember which episode we are, Jordan. Is this 23? I think we're 23.
I think we may even be higher than that now.
I'll mess it up, but we'll, you know, it is what it is. Dylan, thanks for being here, and we're going to come back here in a minute and get back at it.